As you may know, a lot goes into making a video game. After all kinds of testing, it's inevitable that there's some stuff left over. My name is DPadGamer, and with the help of MelonSpeedruns, I've made this video to showcase the beta content in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. We'll be focusing on the numerous maps that for one reason or another were never seen in the final release. Let's start with this abomination of a room, which in the files is called Tinkle. This is an art studio which would have been located inside the rotating head atop Tingle Tower on Tingle Island. The room belongs to Knuckle, one of the Tingle brothers. This is made clear and is a Nintendo Gallery figurine entry. You can't interact with anything in the room except the table and exit. If Link walks into the table, he'll void out and respawn thanks to the lack of proper collision. The X will drop Link outside, nearby the tower. This next island is much less complex. It's a very early version of Link's Oasis lacking trees, grass, textures, or a sky. That last one is pretty common with these unused maps. While there's not much to look at here, I thought it was pretty interesting to see how little is needed to visually prototype an island, or something like that. This island is called A_Nami, which translates to a wave. It's a fairly standard island with trees, grass, enemies, but no visual for the ground itself. Also, there's something strange I noticed here. Despite clearly having waves in the distance, there's no water for Link to swim on. If he jumps off, he'll just fall. However, if knocked into the water, the enemies will make splashes and show off something resembling a drowning animation. As far as I'm aware, this isn't used anywhere in the main game, so I'm curious to see if anybody knows what's going on here. This looks familiar. DM Spot Zero is an early version of Outset Island which was featured in one of the trailers shown at E3 2002. The layout is pretty similar to the final version, though there are some notable differences. First off, the entrance to Orca's house is on the left side of the building rather than the front. Grandma's house is lacking a crawl space under the deck, which means there's no hidden room with rupees. The ridge overlooking the house is lacking any detail seen in the final version, so no trees, dirt, or giant head. Out on the beach there's two pirates, Nico and Gonzo. It just so happens that Gonzo is invisible, lacking any visible model. We can see that instead of trees, the path up to the forest is blocked by wooden planks. This includes the missing bridge. And on the back side of the island, there's a small beach where Jaboon's cave would eventually be located. Now let's look at a bunch of test maps, starting with this one all about terrain. It has ladders, stairs, ramps, water, and some other stuff for Link to stumble over. Interestingly enough, the water in this level is transparent, so we can see Link's entire swimming animation. It looks normal enough. However, if you move around while L-targeting, he'll move as if he's still on land. That's something you don't see during normal gameplay, since the opaque water hides it. Also, for some reason, the sunspot won't reflect on the mirror shield, but it will solidify the purple choo-choo. That giant stair-like structure in the back is hookshotable and climbable in the front, only hookshotable on the side, and neither in the back, oddly enough. This one has, ropes. Looks nice, doesn't it? Some of the ropes that you can swing on are the grappling hook rather than the usual lantern. There's not much to do here except maybe move some blocks around. Now, there's 5 different maps all about objects, so let's start with this one full of chests, an electric barrier with a switch, and one of the giant statues for some reason. In here, none of the chests have an assigned value for their contents. Opening them up will reward a single green rupee, which is the first list of possible contents. This map has a lot of puzzle objects, with some other stuff thrown in. There's 2 copies of the same tiny chandelier in this level. It was never used in the main game, but it was featured in the Space World 2001 trailer, as seen here. Dropping into either of these holes will place Link in the K_Test2 map, which is the one we just looked at. Everything else is pretty much as expected. There's a lot of stuff here, but take a look at this, it's a tiny table! Isn't that cute? Oh boy, this one finally has a skybox. In here we can see an older, unused version of the iTarget platform. Everything else in here is pretty much standard. This one is a bit different. Here we have the rings of smoke that are usually found above Dragon Roost Island. The statue blowing wind doesn't actually push Link around. And in one of the corners is a collection of collectibles. Each one can be picked up, and it has the proper corresponding dialogue box. Okay, so here we have a lot of frozen stuff, which can and will attack Link once they're set free. There's not really much to say here, so let's just move on. Now this is the last object test map, and by far it's the most interesting. There's 2 cylinders of falling water in this map, both of which are used in the final battle with Ganon. If you try to enter any of the warp pots, the game will softlock. Also, there's a lot more than just what fits on this platform, so let's take a look around. This is the first of 3 NPC test maps. It's full of either pirates or people who have lived on Asset Island. Once again, Gonzo is nowhere to be seen. Also, the camera is always shaking because Orca keeps hitting the wall. Oh look, more NPCs. And here, there's a few more oddities. If you want to talk to Abe, you'll have to direct any questions or concerns to his butt? It's a little weird. Medley can't be spoken to, but she can be picked up and thrown. And yes, if you're interested, you can in fact throw her against the wall, though she won't actually say anything afterwards. Over here, we have Rich Mila and Poor Maggie. Talking to either will yield this message. Just like how the chest first item is a rupee, this message is the first on the list of possible dialogue, so it gets played if there's nothing set. Here's Tetra just hanging out, get it? Anyways. And more NPCs. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's an enemy montage. Okay, it's time to look at I_sub-AN, which contains 17 unused rooms. Each share the same shape, starting in Final Chamber, linked to Essential Chamber by hallways. This first one is a prototype of the mini dungeon located in Fire Mountain. It has lava, fire keys, and even the chest containing the power bracelet. As you'd expect, taking the exit drops Link at Fire Mountain. This one is empty, and the exit takes you to Ice Ring Isle. I call this one Grass, Trees, and Choo-Choos, mainly because it has grass, trees, and choo-choos. If you try to exit via the warp, the game will crash. This one doesn't have very much in it. There's a green and red choo-choo at the beginning, a pot, a rock, and some blocks for moving around. The warp will bring Link to Diamond Steep Island. This one is pretty unique. For one thing, it was pretty obnoxious to get to load. Thanks to MelonSpeedruns for helping me out with that. This is the only level in a collection of 17 to have both water and a boat. There's 2 large walls to navigate around, and multiple stones to burst through with the bombs. For some reason, when I went to the final room, there was no chest. Instead, it was way out in the void, floating in the distance. No clue why. This one is also empty. The warp will take Link to Bomb Island. Oh look! Snow and blowing wind! This one should have been connected to Ice Ring Isle, but instead the warp takes Link to Star Island for no reason. Nice, another empty one. The warp takes Link to Cliff Plateau Isles. Oh look! A barrel! And some rupees, that's nice. Taking the warp will spawn Link at Rock Spire Isle. This map has Link fight off 3 waves of enemies. 2 Bokoblins, then 3 Bokoblins, and finally 3 Karagoks and 1 Moblin. Hope I said that right. Once all the bad things are dead, there's a chest containing a piece of heart. If you leave via the warp, the game will crash. This map is mostly empty, except a single wall-mounted Moblin. This map's warp will place Link on Stonewater Island. Here we have one last interesting map. This map's main room has walls that can be hookshot to, and Link has to go around pressing buttons to drop a ladder. In the second hallway, some creative block pushing is needed to progress. When you kill the Moblin back here, there's a small camera cutscene, though it doesn't actually do anything. If you use the warp out, Link will spawn in Outlook Island. Let's move through the last 5 real quick. Here's a pot with a fairy inside. A different pot with another fairy inside. Empty, empty, and empty. I left this one for last because it's my favorite. It looks pretty unique with its distinctly uncartoony textures. There's not actually much to do in here, just some boxes, a couple platforms, and pigs. 4 rooms of adorable, pink, deadly pigs. Oh, so deadly. Thanks for watching. This video was made possible with the help of MelonSpeedruns, so go check out his channel for some sweet stuff. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, and maybe even subscribe for more videos like this. I will see you in the next one.